Hi, I'm Pastor Darrell Edwards II, pastor of Greater Bethany Baptist Church in Jacksonville, Florida, and I also proudly serve as the Vice President of the Young Pastors Division of the Florida General Baptist Convention. Our convention president, Dr. Carl Johnson, has made room for something extraordinary. We've got not one, but two powerhouse leaders, a dynamic father and son duo who each lead their own congregations. Pastor Alfonso Jackson Sr. and Alfonso Jackson Jr. are teaming up for a seminar you absolutely cannot afford to miss. It's called, Are You Authorized for the Next Level? Listen, this conversation is electric. It's enlightening, engaging, and explosive. It's literally lightning in a bottle. If you're a pastor, teacher, minister, or preacher, this is for you. So lean in, lock in, and get ready to ask yourself, are you authorized for the next level?
Hey everybody, this is Pastor Al Jackson Jr. here, and I'm here tonight with one of my personal heroes, Reverend Dr. Alfonso Jackson Sr. I'm excited to have him in the room, and he's sharing with us in this blunt conversation, talk about, are we really ready for the next level? Of course, there's a whole bunch of people and pastors and ministers and people in general that are always looking for the next level, always looking for the biggest thing, always looking for the next open door, the next move of God. But the question that we are lifting up in this blunt conversation is, are we really ready for what God has next for us? Have we been authorized? Have we been approved? Are we doing our part while God opens up his part? So tonight, please help me to welcome Reverend Dr. Alfonso Jackson Sr., Senior Pastor of the Second Baptist Church in Richmond Heights and the moderator of the Seaboard Baptist Association in South Florida. Pastor Jackson, how you doing, sir?
Hey now. Hello now. Good evening, afternoon, or whatever time you're watching this. God bless each of you. It's good to be here with you on tonight. And I want you to go to the next level. I don't want you to settle for being where you are. And I think that we're seeing a lot of people settling today. But I believe that God has another place for you. And if I can say anything in this presentation that can help you and encourage you, motivate you even, then my coming on has not been in vain.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I know you will. During this conversation, during our blunt conversations in the Young Pastors and Ministers Auxiliary, we like to be able to tell and talk authentically, to not just give the superficial, nice answers, but really get to the heart of it and to truly get into a place where we can be helped, built, encouraged, and empowered as God continues to use us in our ministries. And so, Pastor Jackson, we are so glad that you decided to come on, man, and talk with us, because you know about the going through the levels of ministry, man. You've gone through the ladder. You've climbed the ladders throughout ministry, and talking about, over 3 decades, almost 4 decades of ministry that you've been able to do successfully and powerfully and faithfully. And so, man, listen, talk to us, man. Tell us about how can we know if we are authorized to go to the next level? Talk to us.
Well, you've been doing a lot of construction talk. Um, I saw the infomercials, and I saw the sludge hammers, and you've had some great presenters that have talked about blueprints and different designs that are needed for what you're trying to accomplish. I'd like to say a word about the permitting and the permitting process because there are times that I had to find out the hard way that the permit does matter. And there are people that try to get around the permits, and they'll build it over the weekend. They'll build in the backyard, or they'll try to camouflage it so it won't be detected when the inspection comes. There have been times that the inspector has made people tear down whole buildings because the permitting was not, and we get real upset, that why is that even necessary? Well, permitting are very important because they are the official authorization from the governing authority to carry out certain activity. The permitting is not there to punish you. The permitting there is there to help perfect you. The permitting process legally ensures that the activities that you're doing is in compliance to the environmental and state and local guidelines. There are people that would put up anything if there were no permits that were needed. Permits also are there for safety assurances. Many permits help enforce standards that protect public safety. You think that going to the next level is just going to the no, man. You're gonna kill somebody if you don't get the proper permitting, and make sure you do it right. There are a lot of people that are doing things, but they're doing them wrong. When I first started playing golf, I was doing a lot of practicing. The old man said that, Doc Jackson, it's not practice that makes perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. Because you can practice the wrong thing and develop wrong habits, and you end up hurting somebody. The permitting makes sure that everybody's safe. And then also, the permitting serves as accountability and oversight. That's why so many don't want permits, because they don't want the accountability. But the permits provide a record of who is responsible for a project or the activity. Who should I talk to? Who's the contractor? Who drew the blueprints? Who drew the plans? Who's the architect? The permit kind of lets us know who's accountable for this. And you can't go to the next level without accountability. If there is no accountability, there will be abuse. And the last thing I'll say about this, and I like to get into, some next level things and what it involves. Talking about the permitting first, you got to get the permit, man. You gotta go through the right channels. You just can't be bootleg. Can't be bootleg preachers and jackleg preachers. You gotta be authentic. You got to be genuine. You got to get the papers in order. Sometimes we get in such a rush to get the project started that it's hard to finish right when you start wrong. It's hard to finish right when you start wrong, and therefore take time to do it right, man. Do it right. You don't have to dig no ditches for nobody. You don't have to sabotage anybody. You don't have to hope somebody die. You don't have to undermine people. Man, just do it the right way go through the proper processes and get everything in order. So when you start to build, then your building will go as planned. And that sign for permitting, it has to be visible for people to see. I'm legit. I'm legit. I'm supposed to be here. I'm not here by accident. I'm supposed to be here. And there's so many young pastors that are illegitimate, and but they want to come across as they're legit. There's no accountability even to your own church. Your pastor don't know where you are. You're preaching all over the world. When my ministers come to me and they try to tell me where, oh yeah, I'm going such. Okay, you going where? You're supposed to say, Dad, is it okay if I go? I was invited someplace. Is it okay if I go? If someone invites you to preach, I'm talking about permitting now. If someone invites you to preach someplace, your first move to them is say this: I would love to. I am honored that you asked me, but I need to check with my pastor first. And if my pastor gives me clearance, then I would love to accept the invitation. You don't accept and say, let me check with my pastor. You say, let me check with my pastor first, but I would love to come. And I'll get back with you once we talk with him. Let me tell you something. If I was a pastor and I invited you to preach and you told me that, I'd respect that. And you thinking, I don't want to lose the opportunity. I'm telling you that you would gain the respect of people that would say, hey, I love the way they respect protocol. It's a part of the process. So, son, you want me to keep going, or you want to ask questions of what I just said, or what?
So, man, talk to us, man. It's on you, because I know that those that are watching right now, I'm sure that I already see there's some questions that are already being posed, but I do want to make sure that you get, your presentation now, so that because some of our questions may be answered through your presentation. Then, we'll ask or address some of those questions afterwards.
All right. Once you get the green light to go forward, then now the first call to preach is the call to preparation. And so I like to just go through what the next level involves based upon my experience. I was called to the ministry in 1981, and I was called to my first church in 85, and I stayed there faithfully for 15 years. And then in the year 2000, we went over to the Second Baptist Church, and we've been there for 25 years. And every time I look for an exit, the Lord reminds me that He is the one that has me on this journey. I just don't want to miss my exit, but we're just going. But as I've gone along the way, if I can share just a couple of nuggets with you to help you to get the next level. Number one, I'd say set clear goals. Set clear goals. You young pastors, set clear goals. Define your vision. Set specific, measurable. I'm still on the number one. Set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-sensitive goals. Where do you want to be? Short-term goals. What do you want to accomplish by the end of the year? Midterm goals. The next 3 years, what do you see the ministry? Long-term goals. Beyond 10 years and longer. Clear clear goals, set clear goals, and then break down the larger goals into smaller goals, manageable steps. And I'd say write them down, to post them, write them down and review them from time to time, because sometimes they will change. But I'd say set clear goals. Number two, I'd say develop essential skills. You need to develop essential skills that will make you more marketable. You can buy a bottle of water from the store for $1. You can buy that same bottle of water in the gym for $3. And you can buy that same bottle of water in the airport for $4. But if you mess around and wait to get on the plane when you buy that same bottle of water, it could be $7. It's the same water. So what's up with the different prices? The price depends on the location. The price depends on the location. And sometimes when people undervalue you, it's because you may be in the wrong location. And so I have to develop essential skills, or else they're going to be getting $1. They're going to be paying $1 for the same water that somebody else would pay $7 for. But I have to develop I have to identify my skill gaps. I can't sing like Jack Jr. And so I don't try. I sing even less now that people are streaming the services so much. You know, when before the cameras, oh man, we used to sing all the time. It was just us. But now you go to too many places. No, people take away. That's not my strength. You know, and so just telling stories like some of you guys can tell stories. That's not really my thing. And so I know my strengths. I know my areas of strength, and I develop them. And I seek opportunities to learn and to better myself. I'm just trying to put myself in position. I'm the same bottle of water. I'm the same bottle of water when I was at St. James. Man. I was the same bottle of water. I still talk, man. I still presented. I preach. I was trying to preach then. I was trying to I was the same bottle of water, man. They moved that bottle of water over to Richmond Heights, and they pay more for the same bottle. But it's developing essential skills along the way. To whom much is given, much is required. Number three, if you would ask me, I would say that build your network. Build your network. Connect with people in your field. Connect with people in your field. Iron sharpeneth iron. I'm amazed at the number of pastors, and many of them young pastors, that don't network. They think they got this. They think they got this, you know. And but in building your network, don't forget the wisdom warriors. Also, don't forget the people that have been where you're trying to go. There's still fresh water in old wells. I said there's still fresh water in old wells. And so therefore, don't forget the old landmarks as well. But connecting with people in your field, and seek mentorship. That's what I'm trying to say. Every pastor needs a pastor. Every pastor needs a pastor. Seek mentorship. Find someone who can guide you and provide and support and to navigate you in this thing. And be surprised how many young pastors will call me. I'll give more advice. I've gone. My words have gone into more business meetings and to more conferences, and I'm glad to do it to pour back into you. Many of the old guards are slipping off the scene. Don't let them leave without gleaning from them. Don't let them leave without gleaning from you, and use them. If you got somebody that's willing to share with you. I told my son about the meeting before the meeting. How did I know about the meeting before the meeting? Because when God would give me a revelation, I wouldn't tell nobody. I wait for the big meeting and boom, share my revelation. But not enough people had bought in to it. I didn't have enough buy-in. And there were people that loved me, but they just didn't see it because they were hearing it for the first time. And I learned the hard way to meet before the meeting. Call a meeting with those that care about you, those that you have confidence in, some leaders that you feel have your best interest at heart, and share the vision with them before the meeting. And if the meeting before the meeting goes well, then go to the meeting, go to the next meeting. But if the meeting before the meeting don't go well, don't have that meeting. Because if you can't convince people that are for you that what you're saying is going to be effective, you got to go back to the drawing board, man. Don't present it to people that don't have your best interests at heart. And so a mentorship is very important, as Joshua was mentored by Moses, and Elisha was mentored by Elijah. Having that person in your life is important. Your pastor is important. Share your goals and aspirations. It's young pastors now, but I'm saying that you need a father. You've heard this before, right? You need a father, you need a brother, and you need a mentee, whether it be a son or a daughter. You need this. As God began to round your ministry, you're going to need a father figure. You're going to need a father figure. You're going to need a father figure in this thing. Even if you didn't have a great earthly father or what have you, you need a father, man, to be healthy. You need someone to look up to. And then you need somebody to look across from. That's your brother. That's your sister. Then you need somebody that you can pour into that is looking up to you. And that's something. People looking up to you. You need all three of them in your life. And you'll get that. But strive for that in building your network. Here's one point that Al Jr., that I wish I had learned earlier, and that's managing my time and energy. Managing my time and energy. And it comes down to two things for me: prioritizing my task and setting boundaries. Prioritizing my task, focusing on activities that will have the greatest impact on my progress. Prioritizing my task. I was bivocational for a great deal of my ministry. The first 15 years of my ministry, my pastorate, I was bivocational. I was bivocational the whole time I was in my first ministry. I taught school. God blessed me to be able to teach school in the same community that my church was in. I always had good principals to let me go to funerals and do different things, but it was difficult. But I was bivocational, man. I felt like deeper than that. Full-time father, full-time husband, full-time pastor, all of that, friend, whatever. But I had to learn when I went to Second Baptist, when I was full time. I had to learn how to prioritize um, my tasks because the day will be gone. The day will be gone if you don't write down a list of things to do, and if you don't, if you don't make time for devotions and study, your day will be gone, man. It's like it'll be gone. Now, I had to pick a bird. Um, I had to pick a bird, man. I had to pick a bird. I tried to do both birds, and for many years, I was an owl and an eagle. I was an owl by night and an eagle in the morning. It didn't matter, man. I could hoot with the owls all night, and I could rise with the eagle because I'm a morning person anyway. I'm a morning person. I meet the morning. I look forward to them. When ain't many people in my family that meet the morning with gladness. They get up because they gotta get up. They get up because they gotta take the kids to school. They get up because they gotta catch a mule. Yeah, I get up because I get up. That's me. I'm a morning person. I will rise with the eagles. But I had to pick a bird, man. Like even this session tonight, man, I'd be getting sleepy after a while, man. I pick a bird. I cannot hoot with the owls and soar with the eagles. You're able to do that. I shouldn't even say that to this group because you're able to do both. But there'll come a time when you have to prioritize your time. And when you got something major going on, you got to get your rest. You got to get your sleep, man. You got to try to be effective because when you meet God in the morning, if you can get up, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning before anything is moving and stirring and have that time with God, man, that it can radicalize your whole ministry. And then set boundaries, protect your time and energy so that you can focus on your goals without burning out. You don't want to burn out, even at a young age. You don't want to burn out. So that comes from setting boundaries. Now, you can't accept every invitation. You can't go everywhere. That I know that's difficult, right? Because I didn't turn down much. I did a revival. I've done a revival since 1981. I was doing revivals during the pandemic, even virtually. There's never been a year that I haven't conducted a revival for somebody. But you got to set boundaries, though. You got to set boundaries when it's time to be with your family. You know what the old ministers did? Alfonso, you got to let me know when I'm going too long here. They sacrificed their families for the church. My dad was an amazing pastor. He was amazing. He was an amazing pastor. And he loved people. And he never missed meetings at the church. He felt like he needed to be there. I'll tell you what he did miss. He missed a lot of our games. He missed a lot of basketball games. He missed a lot of football games. I suspect he missed a few graduations and things along the way because of ministry. But we didn't trip about that like people trip about it today, because we love Dad, and Dad gave us quality time when he could. But he sacrificed a lot. And a lot of times you hear these stories about pastor children. It's because many times when they say God first, family, and so forth, for the pastor, sometimes we make God, the church, God. And we end up spending too much time at the church. And I found out, man, these people can have meetings without you. You don't have to be to everything. You don't have to be there every time the gates of the church open. You got to be to everything. And the pandemic taught us even more that we didn't have to be there. I love the pandemic, man. I get to be home more. Wait a minute. I thought I had to be to the church every day. I thought they couldn't do it without me. I thought my presence was essential. Man, I'd be canceling meetings. I just canceled a vision summit. I just postponed it. I said, man, we'll do it at further notice. I want to take my wife to dinner. You have to, when you put family first. Those a lot of those older, they lost families. They they lost their families. They had to have a whole nother family. They had whole other families and stuff, because they wouldn't put in the time in. And I'm telling you guys, don't do that. Don't sacrifice your family for the church, because the church folks will talk about you if you lose your family. And so make family a priority. If you got kids, try to take 2 vacations, one with you and your wife, and then the other or husband for the women ministers that may. Oh, wait a minute, for the general, y'all ain't got no women ministers. I don't know.
Hey, man, come on, man.
Hey, right. I don't know. I ain't starting no problems. Okay, I'm just saying that make time for your church. I had time for my wife, and then family vacations with them. I'm gonna pull up right there, son. I'll pull up. I have more, but I'll pull up there. I hope those were a help to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's rich, and you're right, Doc. There are some people in church who don't want the pastor to spend too much time with their family. They want you to spend time with them, but then they'll talk about you bad once you lose your family.
Lose your family.
And you should have been with them more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the questions, and I got a couple questions that come in. But I wanted to start off by asking this question. We're talking about getting ready for the next level, and how do you know we authorized for the next level, waiting for the permits to clear. Here's my first question. How do you know? How can you distinguish? How can the young pastor, minister distinguish between ambition and authentic calling? How can we, how can we determine the difference between, and is this just me that want to do this, or is this God that's putting this in my heart? But what are your thoughts on that?
When I first went to my father about my call into the ministry, I said I think God is. I woke him up. Him and my mom. I went in the room. I woke him up. I said, Dad, I think the Lord is calling me into the ministry. And he looked over to me. He said, come back when you know the Lord is calling you. And I said, okay. I thought I was off the hook with that. And then he said to me that if you can do something else, do it. If there's something else that you can do besides preaching, do it. Don't preach if you can do something else. He said, but if you can't do it, if you have to do it, if there's something that is burning within you, if you don't do it, you like fire shut up in your bones. And when the Lord gave me that confirmation, I knew it was authentic. And I went back to him and I said, I know the Lord is calling me to preach. And he got out of bed along with my mother. They got out of bed 4 days in the morning and they prayed with me there. If it's authentic, you won't be the only one that know it. Other people also will verify the authenticity of your ministry. It's okay to have ambitions. I don't mind ambition. I really don't. Like you, for instance, you wanted to preach more than I wanted to preach. You always wanted to preach. I never wanted to preach. Um, I had seen how people treated preachers, treated my father, and I didn't want that. But I couldn't help it. God gave you the desires of your heart and allowed your ambitions to authenticate. God authenticated your ambition. So it's okay to be ambitious. I'm not against ambitious young men, but I do caution them. Um, um, and I do believe that the anointing does authenticate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that. For me, because you in bringing that up, and just in terms of our two different roads, I wanted to be a preacher. You did not want to be a preacher.
Mm-mm.
And I guess for me, when thinking back on my road, the majority of the time that I wanted to be a preacher, especially growing up, um, was to be like you. And I just wanted to be like my dad. And I wanted to preach because that's what I wanted to do. But when I actually was called to preach and we had the conversation, it wasn't for me. No, I didn't want to preach for or to even just be like you. Um, I wanted to do it because I felt like, this was for God, and I think that that's a big key as well. That if you are going to be a preacher, if you're going to be a pastor, if you're going to be moderator or president or whatever, who is this for? Is this for you or is this for God? And that can be a great answer. So this is one of the messages that came through, Pastor, and I want to get your thoughts on this. That so you'll have some young pastors and preachers and ministers that a door may open, and it's an opportunity, whether it's an opportunity to um, come on staff at a church or an opportunity to even pastor a church, opportunity to go preach, an opportunity to do something that we've been looking for. But how do you know whether the opportunity is in fact a divine promotion, or if it's just a distraction? How can you determine whether this door that's opening, this church that wants me to be the pastor, is this God or is this just a distraction to get me off center?
Yeah, I don't think that we ought to overthink these things. Um, I think that we've got to get back to prayer and meditation. God still speaks, God still speaks. You don't have to figure everything out on your own. God still speaks. Get alone with God. Get alone with God. Meditate. Now, I know you don't want to hear that. That's not the answer. You want to hear something more deeper than that. But let me tell you, man, the Holy Spirit appoints pastors in these places, and every place that you go, may not be, the place that God wants you to be. But you got to pray about that thing and fast. Y'all still believe in that? You fasting and turn down the plate, man. God still speaks. The Holy Spirit still speaks. He does, man. He'll let you know something inside of you will let you know that this is what God's will is for you. There were opportunities, man. When I left Saint James, there were two ways to go. To New Shiloh uh, to succeed my father, um, which may not have been well with you.
No,
Uh,
worked
but
well.
all down to Second Baptist. And at the time, Second Baptist was not as it is now. Um, it required prayer, man. My dad and my brother Art and I, we prayed, man. We went into prayer about this thing to decide what is God's will for me, because that's where you want to be in the will of God. People don't like spiritual answers when we're doing practical talking, but man, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not making this up. God will speak to you and help you make some of these hard choices of where He wants you to go.
Yeah, yeah, man. That's good stuff. Um, so, Dad, this is what I want you to do, man. I want you to speak to a fellow preacher of mine that's been trying to get his permit, passed and to get cleared and trying to get to the next level, but it's always a no or not yet or not here. But everybody around him is getting a yes, and everybody around him is getting elevated. So what do you say to the preacher that has to watch everybody else's yes and everybody else's approval while they're still, looking at a not yet or a no, or they still waiting on anything? How do you, what would you say to that preacher?
Man, I would say to that preacher, man, God's timing is amazing, man. God's timing is awesome, man. It ain't always our time, but His timing is amazing. And sometimes you won't be on the front burner, but you're still on the stove. God got you on the back burner, and other people seem to be cooking. Oh, they cooking. Oh, they cooking. You're on the back burner, simmering, simmering. God, they're on the front burner, cooking. Or you say, "Ooh, they show burning. They show burning," but then you on the back burner, simmering, just cooking, just waiting on the Lord. And that's how I was at St. James. I was bivocational. My friends, Bishop Curry and D.L. Powell Curry was at, he was he was at Mount Carmel at the time, and D.L. was at Friendship, and they come visit me on my lunch break. We go to Denny's, and then we hang out, and then play some basketball on the low rims. Then they'd go, because I had to go back to work. And I see all these guys on the elevator and on the escalators, and I was on the stairs. I was on the stairs, man, and they was on the elevator. Powell was on the escalator. Curry was on the elevator. These jokers were blowing up, man. And I'm at St. James in the Grove, you know. And I was like, Lord, what's up? What's up with that? But God kept telling me, you just be faithful. Just be faithful over a little bit. And when I get ready, I'll promote you. I asked the Lord, could I keep my family? I asked the Lord, could He promote me without me losing my family also? And He was like, well, that's going to take more time because I could blow you up now, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you, because sometimes your anointing can take you where your character can't keep you. And so therefore, it cost me longer to be able to arrive with my family. It did. It took me longer, cost me more money, made more sacrifices. But when God opens the door, when He moved me moved me from the back burner up to the burner. I'm still cooking, man. I'm still cooking. I'm still cooking, man, and I'm still cooking, man. I'm feeding everybody on the stove, man. I'm feeding everybody in the kitchen. After all these years, man, still cooking. It's because God sometimes, sometimes don't open the door. You don't need every door open anyway. You only need one door. Just you don't need all them doors open. You just need the one, the right one. And I could just say, be patient, man. That's hard to do. I know, especially when you see other people. Don't don't focus on that. Be faithful. Be faithful, and God sees you, and God hears you, and God knows what you're going through. That's what I would say.
Man, that's great. That's great, man. That's great. And I've seen that personally um, in my own life in terms of your journey and taking those stairs, man. It's made all the world a difference. I'm personally grateful for it because it's been a blessing to me personally and our family um, by you taking, man, the long way around as one of your sermons,
Mm.
man, and it's been great. So I got a message, a question from a young preacher. You mentioned about mentorship, and every preacher needs a father figure. Every pastor needs a pastor. Every minister needs a pastor. So tell me about what do you do when you feel as if your pastor isn't really helping you or preparing you to get to that next level?
Yeah, that was a young king in the Bible that his father um, was not the best pattern for him, and he called David his father. He said, "My father David." That wasn't his daddy. His daddy was a king that was wicked. He said, "My father David." He picked another pattern. Pick another pattern. Pick another pattern. Always be respectful. Um, your father doesn't have to be your father. That's your father in the ministry for some, but you may need to be covered by somebody else. You may need to be covered by someone else, especially if your father is not able to do it, that is not really doing it, or maybe doesn't even know how to do it. He may not even know how to cover you, but there are people that are really where you're trying to go. They're really at a level that you can say, I want to be. My father would never have gotten to that level, but there's someone that can cover you on that level. And so, um, for my wife personally, for my wife and I, we prayed when my father passed. I still had another father in the ministry in Illinois, but he was dealing with some bouts of dementia. Um, he was my father, always my father in the ministry, Dr. William H. Copeland. But we felt like we needed a covering. Um, and so we prayed about it. Not just one that can hoop the best, not God that was, but we prayed about it, and our hearts and our mind went to Pastor John K. Jenkins and Glenn Arden, and I reached out to him, and he said that my wife and I had to come up there to meet with him and his wife for me to come under his covering, and so we flew up to D.C. and we met with them. Went in his office, she went in her office, and then we drove separately to a restaurant and we talked and we connected, and then we actually signed papers to say that we were coming under his covering. And there's not a moment that I can reach out to him that he wouldn't respond right away. So um, I still maintain Reverend Copeland as my father in the ministry, but I had to have someone that will cover me. Amen.
Yeah, That's real good, and I appreciate you sharing that, man, and even your own personal journey with that. So I wanted to I guess ask this question, and this will be the last question that for the night, man. I know we done drained, man, as much as possible from you, man. I know you got much more, but man, we don't want to overstay our conversation or welcome. So when the young pastor or leader, minister is looking to be used and ready for the next level, whether it be within the church or even within association that they're part of, or the convention that they're part of, and they feel frustrated because they don't feel as if they have an opportunity to be a part, or opportunity to serve, or an opportunity to be included as a moderator, as a denominational leader, as somebody who's been in the convention nationally, statewide, locally, for decades. What do you say to the young preacher feels as if they are growing weary with trying to get involved, and it just seems as if they're hitting a brick wall?
And I remember as a young pastor at St. James, I used to walk in the neighborhood, and there was this older dog. This dog, man, he would not let us pass. I mean, he always had something to say when we were coming by, man. He was an ornery thing, man. And but you know what happened, man. He got older. The dog got older, and after a while, he would just bark. He wouldn't even get up. He just lay down and bark, and pretty soon, you know, he wouldn't even study you when you was passing by. And I said, time walked him down. Time walked him down. Your gifts will make room for you. Your gift will make room for you. Your gifts will make room for you. You don't have to push forward. You don't have to push and force your way. Your gifts are going to make room for you. You're going to be gifted. You're going to get there. And they're undeniable in the association, in our association. Um, Ross Pierre, is probably the youngest pastor in our association. He never forced and asked to be anything. He didn't say, Dad, could you make me this? He didn't say nothing. He just showed up and was there when we needed somebody to expound or a Bible lesson, jumped all over it. Now he the Bible expositor, and now they arguing about whether he should be assistant to the dean or something. But, it's like all of a sudden, nobody wants you. Now everybody wants you. It's like your gifts, man. People are getting older and people are moving. This involuntarily for some of them. But I believe that God is going to make a way for you. You ain't got to push nobody, kick nobody cane out the way either. God is gonna do that for you. It's a new season. Us, the old folk, they didn't die readily. They wanted to die in the pulpit. They didn't want to, man. We had to wait a long time. We carry way more grips than you all have to carry. But I do believe that this stage in ministry now are respecting the young pastors even more. The moderators are now open to a lot of more things. Moderator of East Coast with, Toby Philpott, he is really embracing the young pastors. Many, that mentality is not as it had been. So get ready, get ready, get ready. I believe that the best is still yet to come. Now, I'd like to leave a closing statement also, if I can.
Please, absolutely.
My closing statement is from people that leave you. for the pastors that are here. Um, when people leave you, when people leave your churches, and some of you go after people that leave, but if anybody tells you that the Lord is leading them another direction, let them go. Let them go. Don't go after those that everybody is not going to take the journey with you. And I want to tell you is that your life, your ministry does not depend on anyone that can leave you. If anyone can leave you, I believe First John 2:19, Reverend G. David Horton used to. I hated it when he used this verse because he used it whenever he and they left the association. He quote this verse: "They went out from us because they never were with us. Because if they were with us, they never would have left us." That's what he said. He didn't go after anybody. But when I tell you this, I'm telling you to focus on who's left more than who left. Focus on who's left more than who left. Remember when Naomi came back home with Ruth? Oprah had gone back. She had lost her husband. She had lost both of her sons. And she comes back, and they were so happy to see her. And she says, call me Mara, because I'm bitter. She said this: I left full and I came back empty. She was focusing on what she lost. But Ruth was standing right there when Naomi said, I ain't got nothing. I'm empty. And then Ruth ends up giving her a grandson, and then through the great grandson with Jesse, and then to David himself. Um, it's not who left, it's who's left. Pour into the ones that are there. And you can't get mad when people leave your ministry, when half of your ministry are people that left their ministry to come to your ministry. You know, they just exchanging ministries. You got some of your key people in your church that were key people in other people's churches. Don't worry about who left. Everybody's not going to stay with you. Listen to me. This was hard for me. I used to really take it personal when people would leave me. But I learned everybody's not going to take the journey with you. And I tried to make permanent out of that which was temporary. I thought they were permanent, but they were temporary. They were for a reason, but only for a season. Use them while they're there. Use them while they're there. But when it's time for them to go, don't throw a pity party over them, because somebody is waiting to take their place. One thing that leaving does do, create a vacancy. God bless y'all tonight. I pray that one of these nuggets would be a blessing to you. And I'm sorry that we was in a big class and you could have asked me these questions, but you just gotta listen. You got all these questions, and now you just gotta listen to me talk and say, now how am I gonna get all my questions answered? I don't know.
We may have to schedule a part two to talk about this again, man, because this has been absolutely great, man. I had to turn my camera off so that everybody don't see me shouting about, man. It's not about who left; it's about who's left. Man,
Who's left?
Man, that's amazing. That's such a real and relevant word, and man, it's freeing as well. It's liberating for the preacher to not have to chase down people who left.
Mm-hmm.
Just pour into the ones that are left.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Pastor Jackson, we thank you, sir,
Yes,
for
sir.
your time and your wisdom and having this blunt conversation with us, man. And I'm praying God's blessings upon you, ministry, and praying God's amazing blessings for your family as well, especially your children, and particularly firstborn. And so I thank you, man, and we appreciate you. Thank you, sir, for your time.
God bless you all. Blessings.
Hey family, grace and peace. We want to say thank you tonight for joining us for this powerful conversation on going to the next level. We pray that something was said to bless you and your ministry as you prepare for what God has in store for you in this next season. We ask that you continue to support and pray for this Young Pastors and Ministers Auxiliary. We want to thank our chieftain, Dr. Carl Johnson, for his continued support, and along with his cabinet and the members of the Florida General Baptist Convention. You have the opportunity to stay connected with us right there at the bottom of your screen. Scan the QR code as we want to stay connected with you, your young pastors and ministers, as we continue to do the work and the will that God has assigned to our hands. We are also excited and gearing up next week for our Florida General Baptist Congress of Christian Education held in the beautiful city of Lake Buena Vista, Florida at the Hilton Disney Springs. Registration is now open, and I promise this is going to be a move of God that you don't want to miss. See you soon.